Welcome back to Just a Job with Sarah and Ellen. We are so excited to talk with you today. It's our one-on-one, our monthly one-on-one, and we have a lot to talk about. So we're going to jump into it. We are talking about part-time jobs and whether you want to call it side hustles, part-time jobs, side gigs, whatever. Essentially, I consider it anything that's under, technically, I think it's 32 hours a week, but in most cases, part-time jobs that you're doing something alongside either your full-time job or you're in school. So we're going to talk through later. We had some submissions, but I first want to hear, Ellen was just telling me before we hopped on that she had some in college. So I'm excited to hear about all the part-time jobs that you've had.
It's fun looking back and trying to remember because I feel like there's like some seasonal ones that I did or just like, I don't know, it seems like such a long time ago, even though it's really not. And I'm like, oh, I completely forgot that I did that and it was like a very significant part of my life at the time. And so in college, like in high school, I babysat and I didn't really do anything outside of that. But first real job was at a laundromat and
What?
you're gonna die. So it was at I like didn't wash clothes or anything. It was like the easiest job in the world. It was so nice. It was just like this little it was teeny tiny. What are those coffee shops called that are like they're so small you literally drive up and you don't even go inside of them.
A drive-through?
Well, I know it's a drive-through, but it's like it's like the name of the coffee store. I swear they have them in like scooters. Yes, thank you. It was like one of those teeny tiny, and all I did was like pass out the people's clothes that were like done and cleaned. So I just had to like they would literally come up, tell me their name. I had to like enter in their name, get their payment, and hand them their clothes. I literally sat and either like did schoolwork or like watched Netflix. It was so easy and so nice. Like great first job. But I did that for a while. Like I think I did that for at least a year.
How did you find that job?
I have no idea actually. I don't remember. And it was this lady that I worked with. She was so funny. She was like this older woman that like loved to complain about everything. It was quite funny. Oh my gosh, I'm sensing a theme here. Briggs is coming back to see us.
Just always
With little
busting
floofy
in.
head. Oh
He's
my
like,
God.
I'm your part-time job, Mom.
Literally.
Okay, so
time.
laundry attendant, supervisor.
I don't even remember the name of the place either. I'm trying. It probably had something to do with like Tuscaloosa or Alabama, like
Yeah.
Nick Saban's dry cleaning service.
You're like, yeah, I worked for Nick, whatever.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah. And I remember like a couple of the regulars. It was like these sweet older ladies like picking up their church clothes pretty much. Like that's who the clientele were. It was quite funny. And then after that I nannied for a family for a long time. And both of the parents were professors. They both had their doctorate, were like extremely intelligent. And I remember I found them through care.com. And I remember going to go interview and I was like, oh my God, like I have to be speaking to two doctors. Like I really got to make sure I know what I'm talking about. But they were probably one of like my favorite nanny family. They were incredible. Like I'm still connected with them to this day. I love them. Um, and like the parents went and traveled in the summers and I would stay with the kids for like weeks at a time. They were great. And then my other part-time job was so it was called Zap Photography. I think it's still around, but this is such a strange concept, like looking back and thinking of it. So, at any like sorority or fraternity events, they would have Zap Photo come and they would have like these little like neon vests on and they would literally just be at all of the parties taking pictures. And then
like social functions as in like date parties or like basement parties?
depends. Mostly the date parties, but they come to some basement parties. Like the things these people probably saw. Jesus Christ.
No kidding.
And then they would take your photos and then they would go through all of the proofs, print those out, and then like at the house you'd go through and look at the pictures that like of course you were in, order the ones that you wanted, and then you'd get like these really cute, I'll have to find one or something and show you it. They're so funny.
So
And
then were you the
so,
people? Like, did you take photos?
oh God, no, I was not. I'm not skilled enough with a camera to do that. So I worked for them during, I always did stuff during Christmas, but I feel like that wasn't necessarily their busy season. Like
Mm-hmm.
bid day was their huge, like
Oh,
crazy
sure.
busy
Yeah.
season. So, because they would do like all of the stock photos of all like the sorority girls in front of the house, like on bid day. So I helped work with like fulfilling orders and like dropping the proofs off, which was really fun because I always got to see the inside of everyone's houses, which like you normally wouldn't see.
Yeah.
And then like once you knew like the house moms and stuff, I could like they would tell me a different door that I could go in instead of having to go through the front and like ring the doorbell and all that crap. So that was kind of cool to be able to like spy in and see.
Like, I know what you're
Um,
doing.
yeah. But that one was, and it was a bunch of like stuffing envelopes, sending stuff out. But I really liked working for them too. They were really fun. Um, and that was just college. And then I didn't really have any other part-time jobs until I didn't have one when I was living in at K-State. I didn't do one in Kansas City until I started working for Mojo,
Mm-hmm.
which found them through, I think, literally like a Google search. And I did their instructor training twice because I had to do it the first time, not get it, which was okay.
Oh,
Try
yeah. I forgot
again.
about that. Yeah.
And got the
She
instructor
made it.
second time around. And that was really fun. I miss teaching so much. I'm in the hunt of trying to find a place in San Diego and teach again. But the place in Kansas City was just my favorite. It was a great way to meet a bunch of people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I ended up teaching their basics class, which was um, probably my favorite class to teach because it was a lot of people that have either like never been to a workout class at all or have never been to a spin class whatsoever, and teaching people like the basics, the safety of making sure like you know how to stop your bike and like clip in and out of the pedals and stuff. So that was really fun too. And then it was always kind of awkward, like I had to put my sales hat on at the end because like you're trying to bring in like a full class, essentially a brand new client. So I always had to be
Mm-hmm.
like, the deal was 10 classes for $100. I still remember
That's a
my
good
little pitch
deal.
at the end. No, it was a great deal. Like that's how I got started. I always included
Mm-hmm.
that too. And I was like, and look at me, I'm up at the front now. See everyone? I don't know exactly what my return on investment was there, but um yeah, I really, really miss Mojo, but that was, I think, my like last part-time gig. I almost
Yeah.
worked at Lululemon. In Do you remember that when I went to go
Mm-hmm.
interview at Lululemon? But
Mm-hmm.
that was in February of 2020. So really glad that that just never worked out. So
Yeah, that would have been a short-lived career at the
yeah,
Lemon.
yeah,
What would you
and
say, like, in all of your experiences, like, what was the most fun, and then like, what was a really big learning lesson of juggling, whether it was like school or for
mm,
full-time work?
oh, I think teaching at Mojo was for sure the most fun.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the time commitment wise was fine. It was very flexible. And then like if I ever needed a class covered for whatever reason, like everyone was so great about like either planning in advance or covering last minute. I would say probably the hardest like time commitment one was probably working at Zap. I just like I remember staying like longer in the summers and longer before like Christmas break because I was like, I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to be doing anything. I might as well just like hang out and work and get some stuff done. And like one of my best friends stayed, so we both like, and we lived together, so we would just go to work all day, go
Mm-hmm.
back. So um that was harder just because it was like everyone was already home for Christmas or for summer, and like we were just still there like stuffing envelopes. So that one was a little bit harder like time commitment wise, but I'm glad I did it because like both of those brought like really good recommendations from people that can,
Mm-hmm.
like, if I would say like if you're trying to break into a different industry or something, like great experience learning how to do something maybe that you wouldn't traditionally be doing in normal role, or just kind of expanding some of your either soft skills or hard skills with, I don't know, I use different softwares and stuff in those two jobs than I did in like a full-time role. So all beneficial for sure in the end. But
Yeah.
yeah, those are
Not
good questions, Sarah.
not big paychecks, but great
Yeah.
learning lessons.
Mhm. But yeah, I think those are all of my part-time ones. If I think of anything else, I'll share with the class. But you talked a little bit about like your internships and stuff that you had previously, but
Oh yeah.
talk to us about your experiences with part-time work and what you liked, what you didn't like,
Mm-hmm.
and everything in
Well,
between.
yeah, that's so funny. I didn't even think about the internships as part-time work because all of my internships were unpaid.
Yeah.
So criminal.
Yeah,
Mm,
seriously.
three summers of my life I'll never get back, but that's fine. Um, yeah, I didn't have a part-time job necessarily in high school, but I did like babysitting
Mhm.
just whenever. I was telling you, like some people from my high school worked at the Applebee's, which was like the really cool place to work.
Mhm.
So I never did any serving, which I always regret. So
Yeah.
the first one in college, so I was in the J school, which also had like the film and video departments in it. And so I was like a video equipment room attendant, and I
Yeah.
did that. I think it was 2 hours every day. I literally just like sat in the room because the equipment room was like only open, um, basically to like line up with when people had the class. So I would just like
Oh,
sit.
okay.
Yeah, I would just sit, and that's when I really started watching Netflix a lot. Like I would go through like I think binge
Yep.
episodes of like Gossip Girl or
Oh my God.
American Horror Story, and I
Yep.
was like in a creepy basement with just like computers or equipment around me.
Mhm.
So that was my college job. That was a lot of fun. I didn't have to like socialize. So it was just very
Yeah.
much like a me quiet time. And
Mhm.
obviously there was some studying in there too.
Some
Um
studying,
some
some.
studying. Yeah. And then out of college, I had my first full-time job, and I worked then also too part-time at Anthropology, like as a seasonal sales
I
associate.
forgot about that. Yeah.
Loved that job. That job to me was like growing up, when you would play with stuff and you'd play store. Like that's
Yes.
I felt like a grown adult playing store at Anthropology. And like it was such a fun job because it was my first time ever really working with like mostly women.
Mhm.
I loved the retail space, and a lot of the customers were great, and it was just fun too because it was like the holiday season. And
Mhm.
I just remember being in shock with like the amount of money that people would be spending on like holiday gifts and all of
Totally.
those things. And then like I get to like wrap it up all pretty, and I don't know. That was a really fun job. And
Mhm.
honestly, I think back to that experience and thinking how much fun I had being like, okay, because that's when I really didn't like my first full-time job, but then I had this part-time job, and I think that's kind of what got me through it. But then it also kind of gave me an indication of saying like, okay, I know I really like women or working with women predominantly, but then also too like work can be fun. It doesn't have to be like soul sucking.
Yeah.
um so that was one. And then you and I became instructors around the same time, so it was
Mhm.
like summer of 2020. I started with becoming a bar instructor at Power Life, and that's when we had just moved. So I was at the Omaha location, which they had like just opened. And then I was like, you know what? I have this. I might as well become a yoga sculpt instructor. So I did that. So I taught 4 classes a week. And then I was like, okay, I can't do that. Oh my God. And I forgot. Okay, so this is when I totally forgot one. When we moved to Omaha,
Yep.
I was like, I don't have any friends. It's COVID. I guess the only way to fill my time is to have part-time jobs. I had 2 part-time jobs
Yeah.
along with my full-time job. I totally forgot about that. Yeah. So I was teaching 4 classes a week. And then I also was working at Arc Bridal as a bridal stylist. I totally forgot
So
about this. Oh
fun.
my gosh, Megan, if you're listening, I love you and I miss you. Um, so that was a lot of fun, and that kind of like scratched the itch for retail, but then also to like the wedding industry because I just come out of the wedding industry. So I would work Saturday and Sunday at the salon, and then like my weeknights were, yeah, that was when I was like probably probably like in total working like 60 hours a week. And I don't know how I did that for as long as I did.
I was gonna
Um,
say that's a lot. That's a
yeah,
jam-packed week.
but it was so much fun. Like I had a
Yeah.
really good, and I met a lot of people because of it. And that's like definitely some learning lessons that I've had with part-time work is that usually because it's part-time there it feels like there's a little bit less stress that comes with it. Like it
Mhm.
feels the relationship that you have with it doesn't feel as emotional or like you don't rely on it as much if you have a full-time job. Like it's kind of an outlet or a fun way to make additional money. And
Mhm.
so I never really like put pressure on myself to be like the best yoga
Right.
sculpt instructor. I was like, no,
Mhm.
it's me having fun like with other people.
Mhm.
Um and because of it, like that's how I feel like I met a lot of really great people when we were in Omaha, um was because of that. And now I still have a lot of really good friends because of it. So
Yeah. A good way to like be and feel like more a part of your community and like branching out, meeting people that maybe you wouldn't normally meet, or like, I don't know, everyone talks about how difficult it is to make friends when you're older. And it's with
mhm.
something like that, it's a part of your routine. And then, especially with like workout class, like that's
Mhm.
such a such a bonding experience. You're in a like closed door room for a set amount of time. Everyone's suffering, all together. So it's a
Mhm.
great way to it's a good bonding experience for sure.
Yeah, it's like sort of traumatic but not really.
I know it's kind of like a double-edged sword. Like you're having a good time, but it kind of sucks at the same time. A good outlet.
Mhm.
Was there any like soft skills or any maybe like no, yeah, I'll say soft skills that you learned from a part-time job that you wouldn't have normally picked up maybe during a full-time role?
Yeah. Um I would say like interacting with new people daily, you learn a lot of like
Mm,
interpersonal skills and so you're trying to navigate, especially because most of the job, like anthropology and like even being a sculpture instructor, and then they're basically like a salesperson. And so you're
yeah.
constantly having to like ask questions and be engaged. And I think that that is probably the biggest lesson that I learned
Mhm.
is to be a good listener, I would say.
Ooh, that's a good one.
What about
Well, and
you?
like with retail, I
Mm-hmm.
never worked in retail, but I can only imagine that like if you can work retail or you've survived for a certain period of time, like that can transfer to literally any industry and set you up for
Mm-hmm.
success like no matter where you go, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. The same could be said about like serving. I
Yes.
mean, nothing to me makes me more mad than when somebody's just mean to somebody, but especially in like
It's
a
painful.
restaurant setting or whatever, when you're just like, don't be mean to them, they're human. But I think about people who like have done serving in the past, and I'm like, you have some battle wounds, like you
Totally.
have seen some stuff, heard some stuff.
They like know how to handle people.
Mm-hmm,
I
mm-hmm.
always said too, like with my experience with like nannying and babysitting, now like in any interview, I'm always like, if I managed to like wrangle a classroom of 2-year-olds or manage a household of 4 people, like I can have a conversation with just about anybody. Like
You're like, I can
that
do just about anything. Yeah.
yeah, I that's definitely something that stuck with me of like not that I speak to the same way to adults as I would to like little kids, but it's like
Maybe.
at the end of the day, I can use slightly more colorful words with adults, that's for sure. But I don't know. I feel like I can be very mindful of how I like guide someone through a conversation to get them kind of where we need to go at the end, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I liked having part-time jobs because I think it was
Mm-hmm.
somewhat of like a little bit of an outlet, depending on how
Yeah.
high stress or low stress it was. I feel like it had to meet you where you were. Like if you have a pretty high stress full-time job, the idea of getting a part-time job that is also high stress, I think
Mm-hmm.
is just enough to like send you into a coma. But if you had a low stress job and or a desk job and you're like, I just want to have some like activity, maybe you do the 5 to 15 hours a week as a server
Mm-hmm.
or as a nanny chasing kids, like just something that kind of gets you out away from your desk and is a little bit of a different pace. So
Yeah.
I guess that's for anyone out there listening that's toying with the idea of doing part-time job. Plus too, if like it's winter, right? You're not really outside anyways. You might as well just kind of like take advantage of it and have a little play money. So
a little play money.
play
As
money.
we're talking, we're kind of avoiding the largest elephant in the room that like the podcast is a part-time job for us.
You're right.
Technically, right?
I mean, it's there's no income coming yet, but but no, you're totally right.
2024 vision board. Monetize the pod. No, but like it's really fun just like learning different industries. Even just like learning a new software. I'm not like an expert by any means at like the platform that we use, but it's fun learning like best practice ways that you can like kind of finesse certain things to make it work how you want. And then of course the selfish part's like getting extra friend time with you is really nice too.
Yeah, this is the best job ever.
It really is. And like we were talking about this earlier, but we went to a bar down the street to watch the Chiefs game recently, and we met some new people, and we're like going around the table like, oh, what does everyone do? And it came to me, and I was like dreading the question because I was like, what the heck am I gonna say? But I was like,
what did
like,
you say?
I have a podcast and blah blah. So it's like just being able to share it,
Heck
like
yeah.
regardless of whatever your part-time role is, but like being able to share that like there are additional facets about me that are not just like my full-time like corporate role, I'll say, is really nice too. Like that's really cool to be able to share it with like new people. And she followed us on Spotify, so we have another Spotify follower. Yay! Shout out to Denise. Thank you.
I was gonna say hello if you're listening.
Hi, new friends.
That makes me think. I'm gonna take a little side note. We'll rain check on this, but the whole like identity, that's so funny to me. Like the idea of like going around in a circle and being like, "What do you do for work?"
It was kind of awkward, but I was
why
like,
is this so normal? This is so normal, but I still don't like it. But anyways, that's a whole other conversation. So Ellen and I, before we hopped into this episode, we were like, let's just pull some stats. Let's make this a science backed episode,
research backed podcast.
I'll have you know, the research into this was definitely not spent. I didn't spend more than 5 minutes. So,
I know I was gonna say,
so
should I
anyways.
read my Google searches? It was like part-time jobs, women. That's the level of my research that I obtained over here.
I'm gonna call myself a scientist. Okay, so according to this article, some key statistics. I think this is interesting because this is honestly probably so new since like COVID. Everybody started getting side hustles, and whether it was out of necessity or just like pure boredom, I don't know what it was. But anyways, 45% of working Americans currently have a side hustle. So like basically 1 in 2 people have a side hustle, which is interesting. Of that, 30% with a side hustle so that they need the extra money to cover basic costs. So that's out of necessity. And then 19.1% of side hustlers report that they make more than $1,000 a month.
That's great.
Yeah.
That's just so nice just having it, again, like we were saying earlier, play money.
Yeah. Throw that into a high yield savings account, save up for a rainy day, or maybe that's how you feed your Roth IRA. I don't know. It's up to you, but just some extra dough.
Any Discover users out there, they are having a really good interest rate for a certificate of deposit. I keep getting flyers in the mail, so that's how I know about that.
And now we're a banking investment podcast.
My dad would be so proud.
A CD. Okay, so then now I wanted to get into, thanks for all the submissions. We had 16 submissions. And for those of you that didn't submit,
participants.
Yes. Thanks. Okay, so we had a handful of submissions. So I'm going to run through them as soon as my phone decides to work. Okay. So let's see. I'm seeing retail, nanny, a bank teller.
Ooh, that's got to be interesting.
That would be fun. I feel like there's a lot of drama you would learn about. I don't know.
I bet it would be kind of almost comforting knowing kind of, because I would assume you would be able to have access and see like the funds in other people's bank accounts. And I'm sure that would be like maybe reassuring.
You're
You
like,
know?
I'm not doing so bad. Or
Right.
the opposite. Um, online teacher. Ooh, that's a good one.
That is.
That is a good one. I see a barista,
Oh,
server,
fun.
a diving coach. I'm 28 and I still don't know how to dive into a pool. So
That would be such a fun thing to one learn and then being able to coach others on how to do that. How fun.
let's
So
see. Life
significant.
insurance agent, retail, babysitting, photography for a floral and ceramic business, waitress, server, receptionist.
Oh my gosh, this one girl, 5 restaurant jobs. She must have the patience of a saint. That's a
Whoa.
great soft skill. Talk about soft skills.
No kidding. Um, front desk at a fitness studio. That is the easiest way to get a membership at the studio.
Yes.
Amazing.
That's like such a good cheat code. And you get to
Mm-hmm.
meet so many people, like what you at least 20 people that you check
Yeah.
in for each class. What a great way to like there's a little cheat code. Okay, get his job. Your front work at a front desk at a fitness studio. 1, you get a free membership. 2, you get to meet a whole bunch of new people. What
Mm-hmm.
a like perfect. Maybe that's something I should go do.
Hey, that's where you start, and then you weasel your way
Yeah.
in.
Yeah.
That is a good one. Virtual assistant. God bless technology. Bev cart girl.
that
Fun.
that would be fun. Oh my god. Oh, I've got a couple of
Probably have
mojo
some
gals in
stories.
here. Thanks, Hannah. Thanks,
Mm,
Natalie.
these are all great ones. I
Oh,
might have to.
Natalie put dog sitting because she used to watch Brewer for us. That's this
I was
fact that
wondering
it
why
took
there
me
was that
that long
face.
to like connect. That's so funny. How
Oh yeah,
sweet.
dog sitting, dog
Hmm.
walker.
I've
There's a
seen
lot
some
of like,
people like make review videos on TikTok about being a rover part-time. They make some
mm-hmm,
serious money. Plus, like if you work
mm,
from home or you have a more flexible work schedule and you're able to do that and you love animals, like that's also I feel like a no-brainer, super
yeah,
easy way to spend your time and make some extra money.
yeah. And if anything, I feel like part-time jobs, kind of like what I was saying earlier, like your relationship to them is different. It's a really good
Mhm.
opportunity to test drive something.
Mhm.
And I feel like what happens a lot of times with part time jobs is maybe you're at a full time job that you don't really like and you do a part time job and you're like, wow, this is really fun. Maybe I can take on more hours. And then it just like builds and builds and builds. And then all of a
Mhm.
sudden you're like a CEO of a company that you once worked at part time. Like, I think that that story definitely exists.
Totally. No, now we're gonna have to search for like the person, the woman, and then have her on and interview her and be like,
Oh, yeah.
how the heck did you do this?
Yeah, there's probably so many stories.
Totally. Well, and I think now I'm like kind of getting inspired. I'm like, maybe I should just go pick something up so I have at least something to fill my time.
Go work at
um,
Trader Joe's and be a little smiley, chatty Cathy, or go
I
to Whole
would
Foods and
love
then
to
just
work at
like,
Trader Joe's. That would be
oh my
so
God,
fun.
you should totally do
I
that
feel
though.
like I would have to be very mindful of what like time my shift was though, because that would also depend on like my level of chattiness, you know? Whether or not I'd be like engaging and nice to the customers or I'd be like, get me out of here. I want to go home. I'm tired.
I would hate to have a job at Trader Joe's where you're like notoriously smiley and chatty and have a headache. Like,
Could you imagine?
sir, I cannot find your noodles right now. I have a migraine.
I can't find your noodles. I know we're out of eggs. I can't help you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Like there's literally one can of tomatoes in this entire store. We only sell one can. Like just go find them yourself.
Oh my God,
Like
I can't.
that'd be so
No,
easy.
it would be. I'm sure there's way less glamorous parts of that, but just like surface level, that sounds like it
Yeah.
would just be such a lovely way to spend your time.
You and I should test drive it and we should just that should be a whole series. I want to have 10 W-9s this year. Let's just go do a
Oh my
bunch of
God.
part-time
Your poor
jobs.
tax guy or gal, whoever's doing your
I
taxes.
know. Yeah, CPA Steven wouldn't be so happy, but that's okay.
Steven. God bless Steven.
Stop.
I also feel like it would be fun to work at Trader Joe's simply because of the merch. Like, yeah, they get to wear the coolest sweatshirts. I'm always so jealous. I want one so bad.
Yes. Yes. Go in, work for a month, get some merch,
Mm-hmm.
unless you have to buy it. Which, whatever.
Yeah, maybe then I rescind my previous statement.
You're like, fine, I didn't want that floral printed shirt anyways.
Mm-hmm. I'm looking at the picture, the screenshot that we have of everyone's submissions, and my sweet sister put one in there, and I'm kind of laughing because the part-time job that she had was she was a peer advisor in the study abroad office at her college. One, because she wanted to study abroad and she went and did a bunch of programs. But if you know her, like especially during that period of her life, she was so quiet and shy. And I remember like when she got the job, I was like, oh, like that's great, good for you. What do you have to do? And she's like, I have to answer phones. And I was like, oh God, like for
Good luck.
anything, I would have to like call and order pizza or like whatever it was. Like she would make me call. And I'm like, that's a really good way to have to learn how to talk to people on the phone and like get your customer service like niche established and know how to like correctly speak to people, especially in like stressful situations. And I'm kind of laughing because I'm like, I guess if you have to learn how to speak on the phone to people, if you're doing it at a job because you physically have to, like, there you go. That's one way, right?
Here you go. Yeah. You're getting
You're
paid to do
forced
it.
pretty
That's the
much.
way to learn, I guess.
Yeah. You absolutely have to. It is in your job description. Sorry, learn how to speak on the phone to someone.
Jeez. Well, I'm curious if anyone else listening has any other part-time jobs that they're like, run, do this, so fun, or the opposite. Let us know. But all in all, I feel like part-time jobs are just a really good way to stretch your, skills, have some fun, make some friends, meet some other people. And at the end of the day, like again, this is the purest example of like it's just a job. You
Yeah.
don't like it and it's not, going to be detrimental to your outcome, then leave it. It's just fun. So anything else for you, Ellen?
I don't know. I am definitely inspired for some sort of part-time work. So I'm going to do a little surfing around, maybe follow some local businesses on Instagram or something, do a little poke around, see who's hiring. I'll keep you guys updated. I'm just overall looking for a job, I guess, in whatever capacity.
I think you should go be a bridal stylist, but I'll leave it at that. I think you would be amazing.
I would have so much fun. I would want to get married. I do want to get married again so I can wear like I want to get married every single year just so I can wear like a new pretty dress. I'm just so obsessed with all the gorgeous white dresses. They're so pretty.
Well, then I think being a stylist is the perfect way for you to just do that, but not have to pay for it.
I like where your head's at. Very smart. Genius.
Well, you'll have a good week. It's been fun chatting with you, Ellen. Thanks for our monthly one-on-one. Bye.